Well, I had the idea for the project Recuerdos basically after a concert that I did, a duo concert that I did with a good friend of mine and great saxophone player Snake Davis. We did a duo concert together where I had arranged some of these Cuban songs, with new chord changes. So I'd done some arrangements for that show, and driving back after that gig, I had the idea of, wouldn't it be great to, find a few more of these tunes and maybe record them, and try and do something a little bit different with them. So yeah, that's where the idea for the project came from, and it kind of morphed from there really. It was just from that one gig. Well, recording started for Recuerdos round about the middle of spring 2018, after that show with that I did with Snake, the duo show. So I got back and started digging out songs, and yeah, we started the pre-production started round about then, around summer 2018, and then the sessions started later that year. I started recording and then sending parts over to the guys, and because there was parts flying all over, all over the internet, parts flying from Cuba, from Miami, from the UK, and it was trying to get everything to come together was a bit of a task. But yeah, that's when recording started, 2018. I've always been a huge fan of Cuban music, Afro-Cuban music, but I've also been a huge fan of the melodies in those songs, as simple as they may be. I chose them on the strength of the melodies and possibly on the scope for reharmonization and arrangement that you get with those songs. I chose some of the ones that I thought I could do something a bit different with, groove wise, reharmonization wise, recomposition wise. So yeah, that's how I chose some of the songs, especially the boleros, where I wanted to arrange string arrangements for these things, and maybe some big band things for some of the mambos. So yeah, that's how I chose the songs. What did I change in the songs? Well, I ended up changing quite a few things, to be honest. I still wanted the main voice to be the 6-string bass, because essentially Recuerdos is a bass album. So the main voice is the 6-string bass. However, quite a few things were changed. A lot of the chord changes were changed. I tried to keep the melody. I tried to be faithful to the melody whenever I could, and that was quite a lot of the time, because like I said, the melodies are so strong that you can't really veer away too much. Yeah, you can, ornament or augment the melody in certain places, but you want to be kind of faithful to it. You want people to be able to sing along, sing the song while you're playing the melody. You know, you want it to be recognizable. You don't want to take it, you know, you don't want to take it too far out there. But harmony wise, you can do quite a few things. So I started, substitute chords, maybe recompose some sections, completely put new sections in, like some of the new intros and new outros and new solo sections which was added. They're completely original. So I was just using the original tunes really, and the original charts as a building block and a sketch really, to do everything else that I wanted to do on top, especially with the grooves, which some of them are changed, and tried to bring them up to date, especially some of the old songs. I tried to bring those up to date with more like of a contemporary feel. So yeah, quite a few things were changed. The arranging and recording process was pretty long, really. The arrangements, I'd mainly start with the melody. I'd always learn the melody on the bass. Sometimes some of them worked and some of them didn't, so I had to choose which songs that I could do justice to on the bass, playing the melody, which was the first and foremost thing. Arrangement wise, each tune was different. Like tunes like Mambo In and Bilongo especially, which was big mambo arrangements, Mario Bauzá and Tito Rodriguez arrangements. There was big band arrangements. So on these I decided to maybe condense them a little bit, and add some of like the intros and sax parts, the guajeo parts, which are the fiery mambo riffs. Tried to put them on bass. Mambo Influenciado, which is a Irakere Chucho Valdez 12-bar head basically. I used the head of that and then completely wrote an original weird kind of unison figure, which is played on bass and flute, and it's also played on piano. Yeah, so that was interesting recording that one, because it was a bit of a finger breaker, to be honest. But yeah, that's probably one of my favourite cuts on the album. Recording, I would put down here in the studio, I put down maybe a keyboard part, and the melody, and a sketch melody, not the final melody, and then I'd write an arrangement, I'd send the charts out to the guys, and then they'd record their parts. Basically, I said, look, kind of do what you want, groove wise. I said, this is the idea, this is what I want, but just kind of do your thing. I just trust you to do your thing, that's why. And then I get the things back, and then then the editing starts, and then I start layering other percussion on top of that, so bongos and extra bass parts and synths and some drum loops, because I wanted to, like I was saying about making them sound a bit more contemporary, try and put a few electronic drum loops on top of the live kit, just to give it a different feel, but still keeping the groove there. So yeah, the recording and the arranging process was long, but I think it turned out really well, and I'm over the moon with it. I'm really happy. I played obviously all the basses, fretted, fretless, upright. Yeah, played all the basses on this. The main voice on this is the 6-string bass. All the melodies are on the 6-string bass. Um, I also played bongo, cajon, um, keyboards, piano. Did some of the programming, um, shakers, campanas, cowbells, triangles, guitars, some of the vocals. Yeah, quite a few percussion toys what I played on this, as well as doing all the arranging and the mixing and mastering, and yeah, um, yeah. So that's what I did on this album. It's yeah, a bit of a labour of love, really. So yeah, I did quite a few things on this, but then there's drummer from Cuba, there's a conga player in Miami, there's flute player in Cuba, there's singer guitarist from the UK, there's saxophone player from the UK. So yeah, it was a bit of a coming together project, which I think really turned out great. I think what makes this project unique is, not necessarily unique, but what makes it stand out in this genre is, I've listened to quite a lot of, hundreds of bass albums in this kind of style, in the Afro-Cuban style, but I've never really come across an album where the bass is playing such a lead role, playing these particular songs with these arrangements, because like I said, they're completely unique arrangements, completely bespoke, and the with the main voice being the bass, the sixth string. I think I'd not heard an album before like that, playing these songs, and that's probably one of the reasons why I ended up recording Recuerdos. Is the idea was, I think, pretty stand out, really, and I hope it's well received among bass players and the bass community, because it is quite a different thing. I didn't want it to be about, like I said, I didn't want it to be about ultra chops and 1,000-mile-an-hour playing, and but I can't do that anyway. But yeah, I didn't want it to be about that. I wanted it to be about strong melodies, interesting reharmonizations, interesting arrangements, and really good grooves. I wanted the album to be about that, and I really hope it's well received. I think it differs quite a lot from my other two studio albums, Familia and Open Window, and also Quadrant. Yeah, those albums, and Quadrant being the EP, those albums are different beasts completely. They're recorded when at a different time, and I had different ideas. There was all obviously all original compositions on those, and on Recuerdos essentially the covers, but with completely original arrangements, reharmonizations, recomposed, reimagined. So yeah, it's something what's very, very different than the other two albums and the EP. Not saying that I'm not proud of those. I'm very, very proud of Familia and Open Window and Quadrant. But Recuerdos is probably, the one for me that, being the most recent one, it was a real labour of love for me. This, and it's the music I love, and it's the songs I love, played on the instrument that I love. So yeah, it is very different than the other albums that I've released in the past. But I'm all I'm proud of them all. My favourite tracks on Recuerdos, I would say, are possibly the boleros, the boleros, like the great bolero Como Fue, which was recorded by Benny Moré, Contigo Aprendí, written by the great Armando Manzanero, Dos Gardenias, the great Italina Carrillo song, I should say. Yeah, I really loved playing the boleros and arranging the boleros, because then it gives you a lot of scope for reharmonisation, and it gives you a lot of scope for really focusing on melodic playing on the bass. Yeah, those are my favourite ones. But like I said, I every single tune on all the 3 volumes of Recuerdos, I love, but the boleros especially. Bésame Mucho is a standout one for me, because the melody is on 6-string bass, but also on tenor sax played by Snake Davis, but also shakuhachi, and it's possibly the only Latin album with shakuhachi on it. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am. So yeah, you don't often get a end-blown Japanese bamboo flute on a Latin jazz or Latin album. So that I'm really proud of that. And that idea came from that concert. That started the whole Recuerdos ball rolling, if you will. It started from that concert. So yeah, I'd say the boleros are my favourite cuts on Recuerdos. You can listen to Recuerdos it's available on all streaming services, so it's available on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, Deezer, wherever you stream your music from, you'll find Recuerdos on there. You can also buy it as a digital download from my website, simongoulding.com. You can also buy it as a digital download from iTunes and CD Baby. It's available on there. It's also available on CD, which I would obviously suggest over streaming and digital, because the sound quality is far better. So you can either, on the website, you can get Recuerdos Volume 1, there's Volume 2, and there's Volume 3, which are all available from simongoulding.com. You can buy them individually, or you can buy them in the 3 album pack, which comes in this presentation pack, which is signed by me and contains all 3 volumes of Recuerdos. Plus, you can also download a free 47-page ebook telling you about the recording process and the inspiration behind it, and history of the tunes, and the personnel on the album. And so yeah, you can download that from simongoulding.com as an album companion to Recuerdos. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to pick up your copy, and I'll see you soon.